In rural areas, land is a valuable and sometimes the only asset. For women, land can hold the key to economic empowerment and security, giving them more influence over finances and household decisions, access to credit to start a business or improve their farm's productivity, and in many cases, the means to support their family. When women own and effectively use land and other key resources, the benefit is for all of the family as well as the community. That was the intention of the gender-responsive laws enshrined in the country's constitution and other legal documents. However, women's de facto access to and control of land is restricted by lack of implementation of existing laws, by customary law, traditional and social practices, norms and power structures within communities and households.
ዶክተር ወጥቶልናል ያው መሬቱ የውል ነው ሲሉ እኛን መሰከሩልን ያገሪው አለቃላ ሰውየው እኔ መንግስት ተከራክሮም ቢያወጣልኝ ደስ ይለኛል።
መኪና አቁመው እስከ ማስፈራራት ነው የደረሱት። ስለዚህ ሰው አይናገርም ነበር በዛን ሰዓት።
አመት በክትክሰን እንጂ መከራ ሞታለሁ ከገደለኝ ይግደለኝ ሴት ስለሆነ ማንንም ያበደለልኝ
እኔ ብዙ በጣም በዚህ እድሜ ብዙ ፈተና አይቻለሁ።
My name is Ziad Hailu. Most of my time I spent studying about land rights and land governance. In this documentary film we are going to tell you what it takes to achieve women's land rights.
The miseries of these women resonate across the country. Countless of women and their families in different parts of the country are languishing in similar painful reality. They are neglected one of the most important resources that help them ensure their right to equality and to adequate standard of living, land. The paradox about such prolonged wailing arose from every part of the country is due to the denial of their legally recognized land rights. The law of these homeland of these women is recognized as one of the nations that has achieved notable results in recognizing women's land rights.
Completeness of women's land rights demands that rights should be socially recognizable, legally recognizable and enforced by the state.
This is Alaltu Warada, northern Shoa zone of the Oromi region, 60 kilometers north of the capital Addis Ababa. Amabet Tafasa lives here with her children in this small room. She has a heartbreaking story to share. 6 years ago, she was married to her children's father. Before tying the knot in a civil institution, she discussed and agreed with her husband for joint tenancy to own a couple of farm parcels he had inherited from his parents as well as other properties, including a residential plot in the rural side of the town. She believed joint ownership is a good option as it protects her rights stipulated in the country's gender-responsive women's land rights. After a couple of years into her marriage, she started to learn her husband's systematical motive not to register her name in the land holding certificate along with his name.
የምትገባ ሴት ንብረቴን ተካፍላ ትሄዳለች ስለሚል ያስገባል።
Stubborn to have equal ownership and to realize her land rights, she was repeatedly demanding to formalize and facilitate the document to include her name in the certificate. Her humble request had not always been welcomed by him. Finally, he revealed his real disposition by warning her not to raise the issue again. Knowing his crooked motives, she ignored his threats and continued to fight what she felt was right. However, the ever-grown, heated confrontation descended the household into total chaos. He resorted the most men opted to when they are encountered similar circumstances: violence.
ሶሳን ነው መጥረቢያ አንስቶብኝ ልጄ ላይ ሊገለን ስል ልጄን ብቻ ነው ነፍሱን ይዤ ወጣሁት።
While Ethiopia has achieved notable progress in the legal recognition of women's land rights, the same can't be said about social recognition and legal implementation. Usually, disputes related to land cases are not allowed to be referred directly to the courts. They need to be dealt first at the district or Kabale level, either by Kabale Land Administration and Use Committee or by community mediators. Many critics lament the impartiality of these institutions. It is obvious that as such institutions are product of their time and space and are found to reflect societal norms, favoring influential claimants who socialize with them. Coupled with that, the rampant corruption in the land sector and the weak justice system of the effectiveness of the enforcement mechanism, disproportionately affecting women.
ዳስ በጉቦ ነው ያበላል ከህዝብ ጋር አንድ ነው ያለው እኛ እኔ ደግሞ አገር እዚህ አይደለም።
Mabet has faced a number of challenges demanding her constitutional rights throughout all the institutions authorized to handle land disputes. Her rights are denied because she says she is alone, while her husband is former police official who has strong acquaintances with officials working in law enforcement institutions at the Kabale level, courts and police. When getting justice seemed bleak at the local level, she has taken her case to every hierarchy, from local district to federal relevant institutes, while at the same time taking risks related to financial resources needed for travel and legal advice fees and the length of the legal process. The arduous journey depleted her meager assets, forced her to neglect her children while heavily inflicting social, physical and financial burdens to Mabet and to these innocent children as well. However, progressive the laws are, interpretations at the grassroots level deviate from the tenacities of the legal instruments affecting land rights of countless of women like Mabets in the country. In particular, if the man or husband is powerful in the case of a Mabet, the misery of women is enormous. Ownership of land and valuable resources is largely governed by patriarchal rules, which dictate the transfer of property through the male line. In particular, the burden becomes heavy on disabled women and female-headed households. Here in the same time we met Ayeles Demise, who lives in Wegede rural town. She claims she has been denied her access and control over the land she inherited from her parents due to such social-cultural norms.
እኔ አሁንም እዚህ ጋር እኮ ጮሁ መስሎኝ ናፈሪ ማለት ወረቀት አቀረቡ ጥሎኝ ወጣ ነገርኩ ቤት ላይ ሸጥኩ ምኖርበትን ከዚህ በላይ ምን ልንገር ልጄ መብላት አለባት ዩኒቨርሲቲ ተማሪ ነች ክፈል ተባልኩ ምን ልክፈል
መሬት በክራይ መልኩ የሰፈሩ በማድረግ አልፎ አልፎ ረጅም ጊዜ እጁ ላይ ከቆየ ያ በእጁ ላይ የነበረ ሰውዬ የመልቀቅ ፍላጎት የማጣት ይታያል።
Court practices have shown that this is one of the legal excuses used by their opponents to deny women their land rights. There is a need to establish greater clarity regarding the dimension and scope of the period limitation of the Civil Code. In Ethiopia, the government's recent large-scale land certification effort is believed to have improved women's economic and social status. Previously, women didn't have property rights and divorced women could expect little more than a sack of grain as compensation from their former husbands. Now, they are entitled to 50% of the property. Notably, the number of women with landholding certificates excels the number of men with the same status.
ይዞታቸውን አረጋግጠው ይገኛሉ። ይሁንና ግን ብዙ ችግሮች አሁንም ቢሆን አሉ ከሴቶች ጋር በተያያዘ ማለት ነው። የመጀመሪያው ችግር የባህላዊ ተቋማት የባህላዊ ህጎች ከመንግስት ህጎች የበለጠ ተፈጻሚ መሆናቸው ነው።
"16-year-old Worknesh lives Italing district in Angolela Terra Woreda of northern Shoa zone of the Amara region. She and her little sister lost both of their parents 8 years ago. The local government gave them land certificate to support the orphans. As they were very young during the time, with support of relatives, they leased their land through crop sharing schemes. However, the person who rented the land has been farming the land for more than a decade without sharing any profit. When they get adolescence age, they determine to own their land, use its benefits. Yet, the person becomes reluctant to return the land to them. Since the past 2 years, they have filed a suit against him but for no avail.
ደብተር ወጥቶልናል ያው መሬቱ የውል ነው ሲሉ እኛም መሰከሩልን ያገሪው አለቃላ ሰውየው እኔ መንግስት ተከራክሮን ቢያወጣልኝ ደስ ይለኛል።
በእርግጥ በእኛ አካባቢ ያው የሴቶችና የወላጅ አልባ እንደኛ አካባቢ የተወሰነ በጉልበተኛ የተነጠቁ አሉ። ያንን ጉዳይ ምናልባት ያው እንዲስተካከልላቸውና በህግ አግባብ እንዲመለስላቸው ለወረዳው ፍትህ ጽሕፈት ቤት ሪፖርት ያደረግንበት አጋጣሚ አለ። በእርግጥ በዚህ ሰዓት አሁን ያ ጉዳይ ያው አልተፈጸመበት ሁኔታ ላይ ነው ያለው።
Workner's story manifests that without effective enforcement of land rights, allocating landholding certificates do not help achieve its intended purpose.
In terms of social recognition, access and control to land for women is determined by social and cultural practices and also power relations. This affects inheritance and transfer rights because most of land ownership governance issues are mediated by patriarchal rules. There is also another way women may lose their land rights. This is during large-scale land-based investment. One of the African Union land rights instruments is called the Guiding Principles on Large-Scale Land-Based Investment, which provides that when investments are provided, investors and the government need to consider the rights of landholders. But more often, practice shows that this is not being taken into consideration.
This is Chere Woreda in northern Shoa of the Oromi region. Large number of women narrate the gendered impacts of large-scale land acquisitions for investments as it did not follow the guiding principles, such as conducting consultation with the community and paying adequate compensation.
Kuni akka undeedhaan gadi nu balleechi hanqee nu balleechirra akka hanaftirree horiin keenya.
Lakkoomtuun jirre bakka bakkatti bibittinnoofteerti kun bakka biraatee maal godhu nu faanaa beela'uusaa barateetirree hojjaa dhabee jira.
Nama garran waaqni garuu hannu taane kana waaqni an akkababii keenyatti buuse biyya biraatitti hin buuse han hundeedhaan qeedhaan nu balleechirra daandii horiin keenya ce'urree nu dhawu hamminaan ijoolleen keenya nagaan baanii galanii horiin dullatti lamaan jirtu sunu daandii nagaatirra cirattee nu galtee daantii teenya bishaanitti baddeema horiin keenya bishaan nyaate moo kana keessa hoo baane misgaana dheechadhan biyya biraan beeknu bakka biraa bakka dhaqnu hin qabne silaa kun hoggaa amma kanaa birrii san nu kenne har'a birrii deebisanii alalan guuran nu warra maatiiti. Horiirree gurgurannee nyaannatti bakki tiksan hin jiru makaraadha.
መኪና አቁመው እስከ ማስፈራራት ነው የደረሱት። እንደዛ ነው። ስለዚህ ሰው አይናገርም ነበር በዛን ሰዓት።
ምን በቂ ነው እሱ። እኔ አንድ መዳበሪያ እህል አልሸመትኩበትም በሱ
akka lafa naannoo kanaatitti investarri leessaroos kan jedhamu kun bara 1995 waggaa 5 fudhatee ture. bara 1998 waggaa 10 jedhee kaasaa gaa'odoon kaffaliin lafa hektaara 83 irraa fudhatee jechuudha. kanaaf amma haadhotiin keenyas abbootiin keenyas yeroo ammaa baay'ee rakkoo amma hin jenne keessa yeroo beela'aa jiru. ijoollee isaaniitti irree barsiifachuu hin dandeenye kun erga bara 2000 kaasee hin deemu qaamni tokko isaan namni godina bu'anii oromiyaa deemanii federaal irree deemanii jiru.
There is a need that women's land rights need to be protected from large-based land investment.
It is obvious that various non-governmental organizations are operating diverse projects to support women land rights. However, lack of coordination among a range of stakeholders is identified as a challenge to bring the desired result.
በመሬታቸውን የሚነጥቃቸው አካል ይበዛል። ስለዚህ እነዚህ ችግሮች በሴቶች በመሬታቸው ላይ እንዳይጠቀሙ የሚያደርጉ ችግሮች ናቸው ማለት የተለያዩ አካላት አሉ በሴቶች የመሬት የመጠቀም መብት ላይ የሚሰሩ። ስለዚህ እነዚህ አካላት መቀናጀት አለባቸው። በተናጠል የሚሰሯቸውን ስራዎች ትተው ወደ አንድ መተው በተቀናጀ መንገድ ስራቸውን መስራት አለባቸው።
Oxfam, in collaboration with its partners, is undertaking a number of regional initiatives to help support women farmers and secure their land rights. Though such initiatives mobilize considerable human and financial resources, challenge and harmonizing activities become a concern.
The message is very clear. We may have resources, we may have skills, we may have knowledge, but there is no one organization which just can push one button and solve the whole problem. So the idea is we need to work together. We need to bring our knowledge and expertise together, network, and particularly make sure that those who are targeted, that is the women, are also part of what we do. We can do whatever we can in our respective offices, but if we cannot work with the women, if we cannot work with those affected by what we do, no matter what commitment we have, the success will be very, very limited. So networking is very important.